Welcome to another episode of Odd Pairing. I am your co-host, Natasha, and I have with me again my lovely co-host, Paige.
Yeah. I'm here.
At first I was like, should I let her say it? Forget it. I'll just say it for her. And we're with, today we have a very special guest that is going to talk about, we're going to kind of go into law a little bit. But we're going to go way back. We're going to take it way back for you, like Prohibition time. So today we have Joseph Samo. He is a trial attorney fighting for individuals and small businesses for over 20 years. When he said that, I didn't believe it. So maybe you guys can be the tell of that. And he has a Samo Law Group. That's like your own group, right?
Yes.
Joe also has a great podcast that I listened to 1 or 2 episodes. That's all I could get in one day. 1 or 2 episodes where it's a podcast called Run It By My Lawyer. And it's quite hilarious.
Entertaining.
Yeah, it's very entertaining. Yeah.
And sometimes it's difficult when you're talking law.
That. Yeah. And I didn't expect it. So that's another reason why we had to have you on to talk about this, because your podcast where it is basically you just sharing your knowledge, your insight, and secrets with the world. And I'm glad that somebody is doing it because it keeps me abreast on what's going on at that time. So, and you make it very, very entertaining, like Paige said. So thank you for that. So today, Joe is going to talk about Prohibition. We might touch on ABC, but who knows? Because we might have him come back for that. Depends on how much time that we have. So, welcome, Joe, to Odd Pairing.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited, folks. I am so excited. So, what are you folks drinking?
So me and Paige are drinking on a little bit of rosé, which is my favorite. It's always got to be a rosé time.
It's
always
Demont. Do you pronounce the T if it's French?
I don't know.
Do you know, Joe?
Yeah, you know what that means? It means of the mountain, like D of the mountain.
But you do pronounce the T.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's a French rosé made with organic grapes. So, and it's real nice and good summertime. Very light, not too sweet. So that's great.
Looks good. I can't wait.
It's refreshing.
It looks refreshing.
Okay. Yeah, it is.
And Joe, I brought you a Hazy Ipa per your request.
Yes, this is so good. You were telling me Harlan Brewing. It's such a good Hazy IPA. And where did you?
They're they're out of Scripps Ranch. They're here in San Diego, so they've got a couple other locations. But yeah, they're a good local brewery that also does really fun kind of like experimental beers too. So if you see their stuff, like definitely pick it up if you're into
100%.
it. Yeah.
I'm doing it.
Yeah. I'm glad you like it.
Yes. And thanks for having me on. I'm excited.
Yeah, we're excited to get this going. So Paige, if you could tell everyone first about like the game.
Yes.
And then also what is going to be our word today. So Joe, listen up because
very exciting. So we're doing a drinking game, the word drinking game. So anytime anyone says the word law or variation of the word like laws. I don't know if we want to go as far as legal, but I was like law and laws, right?
Yeah.
Like
we're not trying to get drunk on here, Joe.
Okay. Good.
And all of us take a sip.
Yes.
Not just the person who says it. So this is a community drinking game.
Yes.
So with that, we're going to get started on what was going on before Prohibition, like what led the federal government to outlaw alcohol, the manufacturing and distribution of alcohol nationwide.
It was, it's kind of a weird setup because they tried it before, like in the 1800s and then again in the early 1900s. And the tipping point was actually World War I because, and it was a perfect time, it was a perfect storm, so to speak, because the government wanted the barley for the bread for the soldiers and everything. So that was kind of, the straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak. So that is what pushed the envelope more. Like before, they tried it, but when they needed the barley for other purposes, then it was easy to say, okay, let's outlaw alcohol.
So it wasn't just that there was outlaw.
Outlaw?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
We'll take that law. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, back to my question. So it wasn't just like a behavioral, societal issue that they were trying to solve or address, but it was also, there was an agricultural challenge of lack of barley or other products that...
Yep. Yeah, barley and yeast. Yeah. And so that is what led to the 18th Amendment. And things just went crazy when they tried to prohibit it.
Yeah, because I remember when I was learning about Prohibition, back, they was teaching this in school. And I remember they were talking about like how during that time, people were literally drinking at work. They'll drink at religious, just be in church drinking, just, everywhere, just like drinking. So a lot of how led up to the Prohibition was women. Women were the ones who was like, okay, my husband is not doing what he's supposed to be doing at home. He's not taking care of these. He's not helping me with these kids. He's not doing any of these type of things. And these women was like, you know what? This was even before they was thinking about their own rights.
I was like voting rights.
Yeah, like their own rights at that time. And they were like, you know what? No, we need to get out in these streets and start protesting so that they can stop all this drinking all the time. 'Cause I'm sick of this.
It's unbelievable.
I'm sick of this. But it also gives you a little bit of kind of, I'm not going to say that Beyonce was right when she said we rule the world, but we do.
Oh,
because it literally talks about, like, shout out to Beyonce for telling us that we rule the world. Because think about all those women going out. These men were afraid of like these, and the Christian women, of course, during that time, right? Because religion, had a huge part in this. So all these Christian women are getting out and they're kneeling and praying in the streets. And these men are like, okay, I'm going to need y'all women to get up because you're scaring me with all this praying. You scare me with all this praying. So at some point, I'm going to have to stop my dirty ways that I have going on here. But yeah, it was a lot of that. Like that kind of jolted it to where it is. It's like all of these women were like, my husband needs to be at home.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Well, then, but you know what happened right when they tried to prohibit it, right? It just, everything went nuts. I mean, there were riots over this, like riots over, we want beer,
Yeah, I've seen all those pictures.
Yeah, right? Yeah. And there were just, people were rioting over this and more, okay, as an attorney, right, there was all these exceptions to prohibition. So people were still drinking a lot.
Yeah, of course.
Well, my favorite exception is for religious purposes. Sacramental, right? And so all of a sudden what happened was a lot of people just became ordained priests and rabbis because then they're like, now we could drink as much as we want,
It's allowed.
For religious purposes. And, and then also doctors, there was a thing, kind of like when marijuana started becoming legal, it was like medicinal
alcohol.
marijuana. Yeah, medicinal alcohol. Like medicinal marijuana, yeah.
Because I think when I think about that, I remember in the South, a lot of grandmothers still kind of had that mindset in terms of whiskey. Like whiskey, you take a shot of whiskey you got a headache, take a shot of whiskey. Your knee hurt, take a shot of whiskey.
Like bourbon on the gums or whiskey for babies. Teething for babies.
Exactly.
Oh, you're from the South.
Yeah.
Tijuana?
No, not that South.
No, sorry.
Not that South.
Not that one? Okay.
Go a little far east.
Oh, the South.
The Gulf of Mexico,
Okay, that's South. Okay, see, San Diego, we say South.
Right. Not south of the border.
Not south of the border.
Not that one.
But you're right. Yeah, so for medicinal alcohol, so doctors were prescribing it for toothaches, headaches, all of the above.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And just like marijuana, right? Medicinal marijuana, all the people said they have like eye pain or glaucoma or whatnot.
I can't sleep.
And and it was allowed for also rubbing alcohol. and then somehow rubbing alcohol became more drinkable then. And it was allowed for cleaning supplies. So it just, so what people would do is they would
Which
sell
still
it.
happens today.
Yeah, they would sell it. They would just market it as cleaning supply, and it's just, hey, just for safety reasons, it's also drinkable. So,
Oh my gosh.
don't you love it?
People get creative.
And when you
get creative,
and
yes.
let's go back. Let's fast forward, right? So today, people are still using alcohol to, let's say you're out in the field. I'm just going to use a military term. Let's say you're out in the field. Someone has a bottle of vodka on them for some strange reason. You get shot or something and they need to pull the slugger like out of your leg. They'll pour the alcohol on it, right? To kind of like disinfect whatever was happening at that time. So, and then now when I think about, I remember when I first bought my first home, someone had told me on my my kitchen floor so that my dog safety of like using, this was before they had like organic like cleaning supplies. It was like, oh, if you clean your floor with vodka, then it disinfects it just as well.
Oh my gosh! But
I
then your
never knew
house
that.
smells like vodka.
No, it doesn't actually. We used to. I mean, I
Really?
would buy the really, really cheap one that comes in that plastic bottle.
Yeah.
You're not buying the good stuff. You know?
Okay. Yeah.
You don't got the. You don't have Grey Goose.
Yeah,
pouring
you
it
don't
in
clean
there.
with a Grey Goose.
It's like pop off.
Yeah, so it's like the cheapest that you could find that was like in that, and I would pour it in my like mop water and just use that to like mop my kitchen and my bathrooms.
Oh wow.
And it had the same, so it wouldn't affect my dog. Like if I was putting on there like Clorox or any of
like
those
the
other
chemicals.
any of the other chemicals. Yeah,
Oh,
so
wow.
you just be drunk instead of
Oh
Yeah, I
yeah.
hear you.
dying off.
Right.
Paige, I think Natasha's a baller. Did you
Yeah.
hear? But did you
Yeah.
also hear she goes, when I bought my first house.
Yeah. My first house.
I like that.
I just cleaned my floors with
Knock it off.
vodka. No big deal.
No big deal.
Baller.
No big deal. We had some Seagram's gin. We just poured it on the floor.
And so what was all the taking out the slug and disinfecting it? So you were in the Navy, right? Did you guys,
Yep.
did they teach you that in the Navy?
No, a lot of that just came first aid type stuff. So they'd be like, oh, when you think about first aid and if you have something around you, let's say someone's at a party, right? Alcohol is always going to be at a party.
Always.
Right.
Always
Yeah.
going to be at a party. So if something happens and you don't have any of the medical stuff because
Supplies,
no
yeah.
one has an ambulance backed into their
Right.
their back unless,
Yeah.
who knows
Wow.
at this at this day and age. Who knows? Somebody probably had one in the back. But you don't normally have that type of supplies on you. So what you would do is you would use whatever you had. And they said that these are the things you could use in your home. And alcohol was one of them. Of course, I remember that alcohol was one of them. I was like, because that's definitely going to be in
You're
my
like,
home.
that's in supply at my house.
I don't ever have to worry about that. So I just poured it on somebody's, womb to kind of disinfect it really quickly before they, have to go to the hospital.
Wow.
Yeah, which is something they still use. So them using that back then made a lot of sense on that tradition still kind of being like relevant today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that's amazing. And other things that people were using to get around the laws.
Oh,
Sorry.
laws.
There it is.
We should say the person that says that has to take 2 sips. Okay.
Oh.
So another thing that they were doing to get around the rules was like Anheuser-Busch and some other companies, they were selling the ingredients that you could mix together, like a different starch or
Homebrew.
yeast. Yeah, so that you can kind of like put it together and make it, and the same kind of goes for like guns, nowadays, right? You
Yeah.
can just kind of print a few things on a 3D printer, or you can just buy the parts. So it's like, I never bought a gun. You just bought the parts and put it
And then
together.
we-
So
Right.
that's,
Came
right.
together.
that's always a tough one for legislatures and attorneys, right? I'm trying to go around saying the word is because people kind of get around it by doing, little sneaky stuff like this. And then around that time of Prohibition, people started making moonshine.
Yeah, my
they would
favorite.
learn how to brew it at home. I don't even know what moonshine. I don't know if I've had it. Like, have you had homemade
I've
hard
never
liquor?
had it.
I've had homemade moonshine and I've had the store-bought one.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Now they
Is
they
it a big
just-
difference?
Oh, it's a huge difference.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Quality?
Quality-wise, yeah. Because
Chances of survival.
chances of survival.
People were dying because they were doing
Hardcore.
it. Yeah.
Hardcore. I mean, alcohol content with like 100%. It was something along the line gallons of gasoline. Yeah, because I remember having the homemade moonshine was a lot, like literally burned your, like, I felt like it was just
Insides.
burning from your esophagus all the way down.
That is not good for your body.
Yeah, if you burp, you can set some on fire.
Oh my gosh.
That's how bad it was.
The moonshine.
Yeah,
Oh
and then
my
they started
God.
making it like mass producing it.
Yeah, I remember
at this point.
seeing it kind of in the grocery stores and like, oh, that's a nice marketing ploy, but that's cool.
No, it's and it doesn't. It's not, of course, legally. It's not going to come as close in
Right.
terms of like the alcohol content. So it just has enough where it's still like you still can feel it or whatever. And they have all these different types of flavors. They even have fruits that are like in them. I've seen people do TikTok challenges where they are
gosh.
like just eating the fruit out of the moonshine because it's been sitting in it for so long that it's just doused in just alcohol. And people are like doing challenges where they eat it. I mean, they have like pickles, cherries, peaches,
Like
apples.
sangria, but it's in there longer. Oh my
Yeah.
God, that's
It
nuts.
doesn't taste
Yeah.
as good
right.
as the fruit out of sangria.
I mean,
I wouldn't think.
it's not terrible.
But for moonshine, is that because like people can make it with things that are growing on their property, right?
Pretty
kind of
much.
make
Yeah.
it with
Fruit and
like
stuff, yeah.
leftover vegetables, or is that why it was a little more accessible for people to produce?
Yes, yeah. In fact, to this day, right, there's prohibition of liquor in the prisons, so the prisoners make their own wine
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
Because you just have like the fruit and you kind of like have to put it in the right place and what do they call it? The prison? A pruno. That's the
A
code word for
pruno?
Pruno, yeah. That's like the homemade wine or prison-made wine.
Yeah.
So
Or
they would
call-
make their own
or
wine.
I heard the term hooch too.
Hooch, what? Oh, what is that? Oh,
That's
same thing.
another like prison term for
homemade.
homemade alcohol. Hooch.
And Natasha
Toilet.
and I know this not from firsthand. It
Experience.
was like we've heard from people that heard
So
from people.
people out there, please. It's not from
Yes,
me
yeah.
actually making my own
Yeah.
in this lifetime. I'm
Well,
just
you
saying.
know that's not very sanitary when they're making it in the prison.
Right, but people got to
It can't
drink,
be.
man.
People gotta drink it. People
Yeah.
gotta
Like,
drink.
what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
You know,
Like they there's no way they can know the actual alcohol content.
Oh no.
Kind of
They're
like you were
sure
saying
they-
with the moonshine of like it being almost 100%. Like it
yeah,
being,
yeah, exactly.
you
Yeah.
know, that's probably
But what are you gonna do? You know, you got
Yeah.
plenty of time.
I was gonna say you have some time to
and you
figure
got
it
some
out,
fruit,
right?
and then you just put
Yep.
the fruit in the right place, and you mix it in barley or whatever it is. You know,
Yeah,
however they
whatever,
wanna make
however
it.
they're making it.
You know, they get
I'm not gonna
creative,
say I
they get
know all the
creative.
ingredients,
Yeah,
but I'm
yeah.
just saying is however they're making it in there.
Right? Yeah. What did they say? It's like when you don't have something, that's like when the inventions start coming out and the creativity comes out. You know what I'm saying?
You
Like
find
the-
a way. If there's
yeah,
a will, there's a
necessity,
way.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Right? Exactly. Yeah, so that's what got you guys interested in Prohibition and going back to the old school stuff. Like, I love talking legal stuff from back in the day. Like, I could do it forever.
Yeah, I think for us doing this podcast for one, right, and it being centered around like alcohol and a little bit of food, we kind of wanted to do a deep dive into how alcohol even came about, like what kind of different laws there were.
There it is. You were prepping. I saw that.
Different, those different laws that was happening during that time. And then we just kind of wanted to just figure out like how all of this even came about. Like, why is it such a big deal? Legally, why is it such a big deal?
And
Yeah.
I think another part for me too is like when I was thinking about, this interview and sitting down with you is like Boardwalk Empire.
Oh, yeah.
Like I remember this,
Yeah.
and like there's people know the names like Al Capone, and they know the bootleggers, and there's just this. I don't know. That's a part of our history that's been really like Hollywood,
Right.
fantasized and is so many movies like Elliot Ness and all this sort of stuff. And so
Yeah.
it's kind of like, what, that's what I wanted to know a little bit more of like, what even got us to the point where that was happening? And then like, what was really going on during those 13 years of Prohibition when these men were, doing the bootlegging and manufacturing, and there's crime and racketeering and mobs and like all this sort of stuff. So like that, I feel like, we we hear so much about one part of Prohibition. People like think they know what it was, but I feel like there's a lot more to it.
And I think that history, to this day, it's like then a lot of it then became like after Prohibition, then the states like had to figure out like good ways of taxing it. And you know, you got to know your history. Now it's like the same thing with marijuana, right?
Yeah.
Like taxing the dispensaries. And that's the ABC, the only way they're funded is by the application fees and the annual license fees. Like that's their funding. So it's like in their interest to have people drinking.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Because they get funded from the drinking. So all the annual fee, ask any bar owner, you know.
Oh, yeah.
All the, you know, it's like, I mean, it costs like $20,000 almost to just apply for the license. And then every year you have to pay for it. And I mean, it's, I don't want to say it's a racket. You know?
Racketeering.
Right? Racketeering, yeah. It's like legal racketeering, you know what I'm saying? I mean, so it is so expensive, right? Hello, friends. This is Joe Samo from the Samo Law Group. I am the host of Run It By My Lawyer. Over the years, I've had so many people that have had legal issues and legal questions and legal concerns. And I always, over more than 20 years, I've been telling people, before you sign anything, before you do anything, if you have a problem, just run it by my lawyer, right? Just run it by me. And now I have a podcast doing just that. You can call me, you can email me, any questions you have. I love hearing from people and answering legal questions. And on our podcast, we've talked about everything from free speech, gun rights, you know, anything you want to discuss, employment rights, everything. So you have an issue, you know, run it by my lawyer and watch this podcast. You'll be entertained and you'll learn the law. Love to see you. You can find me anywhere, okay? YouTube, Spotify, Apple, whatever you want. And if you can't find me on some platform, let me know and I'll come find you. All right, thank you.
Hi, I'm Rachel Belt, President and CEO of the Vista Chamber of Commerce. Over the last 20 years, I've had the privilege of living and working in Vista, and I've met some amazing people with amazing stories. And I'm thrilled to bring them to you as part of Velocity, the Vista Chamber podcast, where I interview the movers, shakers, and change makers impacting the Vista community and beyond. I hope you'll join me as we journey together to hear the stories of the people doing amazing things for our town. Velocity, the Vista Chamber podcast. Find us anywhere you get your podcasts.
San Diego beer lovers, come join us on the Pioneer Beer Trail, a free, narrated tour of 4 of Vista's iconic craft brewers, all from the convenience of your phone. Simply download the free show at vistamadetours.com or find Vista Made Tours on your favorite podcast provider, like Spotify or iTunes. Then fire up the show and you'll hear fascinating backstories, beer favorites, and food recommendations from the brewers themselves as you travel from spot to spot. It's free, fun, and the easiest way to learn about some of Vista's originals, including Booze Brothers, Belching Beaver 980, Aztec, and 5 Suits. So come travel the Pioneer Beer Trail at vistamadetours.com or from wherever you find your podcasts.
I mean, 40% of their, when you think about like during the Prohibition time, 40% of the federal taxes was from alcohol. So of course they're not going to stop that. They was like, okay, we're going to stop it for a minute because these women are complaining about it. But at the same time, we need to figure out how do we get our money back? So how do we regulate it to make everyone happy? And we can also still get our money. Because think about that, 40% is a lot of money.
That's a lot.
And the entirety of just alcohol being, you know, that being taxed is the reason why that they were like, the country was running off of alcohol for 40%. Think about that again. 40%.
That's
a
pretty
lot
high.
of money. Yeah. That's almost 50.
And speaking of money, there's the ABC is so profitable. I mean, there are like jobs that are listed now there. Anyone want to work for the ABC?
I don't know. What's the salary?
I mean, let me know what the salary
salary's
is.
a lot. It's like $150,000 a year. Okay,
what they do?
Yeah, exactly. Like to be, you know, those little agents that walk around.
Yeah.
I mean, they're considered peacetime officers. I mean, they're officers.
Yeah.
You know, the people that like you know the ABC agents.
Yeah.
And what are they're hiring sales agents basically, and what else are they? Technician? I don't know what the technician does other than the fact they get paid a lot.
What's a lot?
Well, the technician is like 60, 70 grand.
Okay.
They don't get paid as much as the agents do. And then there's different managers.
I could be an agent overnight if you need me to.
I swear. No, the
out in the
agents get
field.
paid a lot. They get paid a lot.
That means I'm out here traveling. That's what I heard.
Oh, not a travel agent. I don't know. I don't know if I could do that. I don't know, like bust people. I mean, I guess, you could bust some people, but, they just seem slimy sometimes, right? The
Well,
minors.
it seems like a lot of time that like what they're busting businesses for are underage
Yeah.
drinking
Yeah.
or overindulgence, like kind of like public health and safety issues.
Yes,
like
yes.
you don't want people under 21 drinking or you don't want people buying alcohol for people that age.
Right.
And then you also obviously don't want people being over intoxicated. But it seems like those are the priorities.
Yeah, and like selling drugs, like some smaller liquor store where they sell drugs on the side.
Yeah.
Using the business for something else.
I've had
but
some
that's,
clients that got busted for that. Yeah.
Because I think that's a lot of what they're trying to work with, like the local police with, is trying to help them in terms of, especially in this area with like prostitution and what is that, sex trafficking? Mm-hmm. They're also helping them with that because that is in a lot of bars and taverns and like all of that with those particular type of people. And I think when you think about busting someone underage and intoxication, I feel like those are easy ones.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't need much slime,
right.
quote unquote, to even have to bust anyone with that. You just literally see them and you be like, okay. So, and then I'm gonna do it real smooth. Listen, I see you. You just served. How old does she look? I'm gonna do it real quiet. Like, how old does she look? Sir, just step over to the side. Ma'am, I'm gonna need you to go over here. I gotta call somebody real quick. Like, real quick. I didn't busted 3 people just now. So it's like those, I don't think you really have to have too much tact for those particular 2. Now, the other ones, now that they're working with the local law enforcement.
Law.
There it is.
Oh,
Gotcha.
good catch.
Working with the local police, now I can say that. Working with them, I think that doing like sex trafficking and then the drug stuff, I think that's a lot more busty.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
things.
they have to be much more thorough investigations versus kind of like the 18-year-old that they put in front of the grocery
those
store
guys,
and
that's
say
the
like,
slimy
hey,
one,
can you ask this ask people to
Right.
buy while they go in, and then you can bust
Right.
someone versus a thorough investigation that probably takes months or something to find somebody doing drugs on, having the drugs involved or sex trafficking.
Were you 2 ever busted like underage drinking or?
No.
Never busted, but I did it.
Yeah, same here.
Not even gonna-
I don't think I got busted either. Not
Never
by cops
never
or
got
anything.
busted.
trouble.
Yeah, never got in trouble by anyone. Have you?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm like way too scared.
Oh, so you didn't do any underage?
Oh,
drinking?
no, I did.
Oh, okay.
But
So
it
you
was
did it
like,
pretty
oh, this is where we're gonna be forever tonight. Like, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Oh,
That
then
type
you
of
would
thing.
drink there. Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
way too scared, and
Yeah.
more of my mom than.
Yeah.
gosh.
And see, my underage drinking, it really, I only because I'm an adult and I was serving my country. So my underage is like 18 and above. I never did it under 18, except that one time when that's the reason why I didn't drink beer for a long time.
We were
Wait,
6.
did you join the Navy at 18? You were 18?
Yep. I was 18 when I
wow.
joined the Navy. Yep.
And then where did you enlist and all that? Like here in San Diego?
No, I did it in Louisiana.
Okay.
And then my first duty station was in Japan,
no kidding.
where the drinking age was 20.
Oh. What did you drink in Japan?
I actually did. That wasn't my first place that I actually drank alcohol. It was actually, we pulled into Phuket, Thailand.
Okay.
And we were celebrating someone's birthday. And that
Phuket,
was the
Thailand.
first time.
Oh.
And in Phuket, it's 18.
Oh.
And I was 19 at the time.
Perfect.
Legal.
Okay, so it was even legal. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were on Liberty, and then you guys just went drinking and stuff.
Yep. But you're not supposed to, as a U.S. citizen on a U.S. Navy vessel, you're supposed to do 21.
Oh.
But of
I
course,
see.
we was like,
Yeah, but you were in the
they
bars,
can't see us.
Right.
Yeah.
in the city or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So you would go and drink, and
Yeah.
then what'd you guys do? Just hang out and.
Yeah, so you can
Awesome.
you can have
Phuket,
like
Thailand. I've never been to Thailand.
I've never been there.
so like you can have like what they call overnight chits, and it's basically where you just sign and say, "Hey, I'm going to be staying at this hotel overnight,"
That's
whatever.
Party Central, that place
Yeah,
becomes, right?
exactly. So now we're drinking out in bars, and then we just go to our hotel like right after, instead of going back. And
Yeah, so you
then
don't
if
go
we
back
did,
drunk.
but sometimes we did. Like I was saying on another podcast, where we would literally go onto the ship and we would be very quiet.
Right.
Like that's how you knew that we had been drinking.
Yeah.
Because we were the quietest people you had ever seen. And we were very rowdy people on our normal day life.
Yeah. Okay, so
But
you go back on the ship.
Holding it
and-
together.
We was holding it together. We was
together.
like, nope.
I see. So after a couple hours, then
Don't
you
give
sobered
nobody no
up.
contact, no eye contact. You just walk on this ship. Don't say anything.
Go to bed. Go to bed. Go to bed.
Straight
That's
to your
okay.
rack.
Not like you had to find U-boats and stuff. So it was all
no,
good. It was
no,
all
no.
good.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And then how about in Japan? What did you drink when you got there? I've never been to Japan either. Have you?
You have to go.
Yeah, see,
have
like
not
I
been there
said,
either.
Absolute
Natasha's a
beautiful country.
baller.
Absolute beautiful country. Listen,
Japan?
I was balling off the military federal government funds, okay? Balling out. Wherever they took me,
Traveling
I
the
was
world.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So then, what'd you do in Japan? Then we were on Liberty.
So I think that's when I first got introduced to vodka Red Bulls.
Oh god.
Yeah, that's
in
where
Japan?
I first in Japan.
Do you still drink
Because we
those?
would go to, no,
Yeah.
do not. I do not even touch them.
That's your do not.
Yeah. Now I put tequila in Red Bull.
Oh.
And I don't do vodka in Red Bull. I don't do vodka hardly anything.
I was just gonna say anything with Red Bull.
no, I still do. I still do Red Bull, but now it's tequila and Red Bull because I'm classy now. So
Right.
like a
right.
trial
No.
and Red Bull.
You're an advanced drinker.
I'm an advanced drinker. Exactly.
See, all these good
Experience.
stories. Like what do we like?
Yeah.
Like I drank an El Cajon. All right. Did you go up here in Vista? Or?
Yeah.
See,
North
see,
County.
North. See,
Yeah,
we don't
North
have
San
these
Diego County.
stories. Like I don't know. Like.
Oh yeah, I got plenty more. Just keep listening. You're gonna hear some more.
Oh my god.
You're definitely gonna hear some more. But yeah, going back to how they kind of, especially with these states and with the ABC kind of controlling everything, I didn't know that it cost so much. I didn't know it was that much money. That's the
And it
part
depends
that,
on the type of license, right? So like a manufacturing license versus a retail. And if you're a retail and you're doing beer and wine versus like beer, wine, and spirits, like
Right, yeah.
as soon as you get spirits involved, doesn't the price just kind of
It does go,
go
up,
up,
yeah.
right?
Yep. And it is. I mean, look, it's like they fund themselves. Do you know what I'm saying? And they set the
Yeah.
prices. So it is costly. Yeah,
and is it
so
determined
costly.
upon like geography? So like in a city or in a geographic region, they can only have, a designated number of types of
I see what you-
licenses, or is
yes,
that kind of how
because-
it's?
Okay, there's a couple of things. And one is like, because the city council will make rules in terms of, okay, in this neighborhood, we'll allow 10 liquor licenses. In this city area, whatever, it's 50, right? And then what you're saying is accurate. Yes, I mean it always is, and that's why sometimes if you could sell a liquor license, because it's like your license, you can try to transfer it to another location, and then they make a little side deal for it. Yeah,
I've
because
seen it before.
yeah, it happens. Yeah, it
Yeah.
happens all the time. It's kind of I don't know how fair that is, but it's just reality. Like somebody,
Right.
and then sometimes like in a PB area in San Diego, the residents were getting really upset with the bars. So then there was like
can
a
understand
moratorium. Yeah, a moratorium on
on the number?
on any new like ABC licenses. Exactly.
Oh, okay.
So then it was like so it was tougher and tougher to get a liquor license in PB. So now it's like gold if you can get one in PB now. Because the residents there. Whereas the gas lamp is a little because they want the bars and everything there. So
Yeah,
it's a little
It's
easier
the draw,
to get there. Yeah,
the
but it is-
economic,
Yeah,
input.
but it is expensive. Yeah, it's expensive. That's why liquor so it's a good business for
Yeah.
ABC. And like I said, they're funded completely just on the applications fees and the the annual renewal fees.
Wow.
Is that crazy?
That is crazy.
Yeah.
That is wild.
That's wild.
Yeah.
But the good part, I guess, for bars is that they want it's better than being funded by stopping liquor sales. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like they want people to have liquor sales so that they could be employed.
Yeah.
Right? So ABC wants more liquor licenses.
Yeah.
You know? So they could
being part of the government still goes back to that money I need.
Money.
Yeah. I wonder what's the percentage now. Because I know during Prohibition it was 40%. I wonder what the percentage is now of like alcohol, federal taxes that kind of goes into it. If it was 40%.
Well, there's there's the state, right? There's state license fees and stuff, but then there's also federal like excise tax as far as, right? Is that correct?
Some it depends on what you're selling. But yeah, there are some federal taxes with it, but usually the tax is like there's like a state tax. That's the big one in terms of just like per drink, you know. But
so it funds the state government, not only the ABC department, but also the general kind of fund for the state on top of that. So it's both.
Because if you think about it, like the beer, there's the annual fees to the ABC and the application fees and whatnot, but the sales tax goes to a different, agencies or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. And now when I think about it, when I think about bottle service, especially in California, right? In California, we get charged as just consumers going to the grocery store. If you buy a bottle of anything, a plastic bottle or a glass bottle, they charge you a fee.
Like the 5 cents.
They charge you a fee for it.
The recycling thing.
When I think about what they could be charging them on those type of fees, and then they also paying for this license every year. And you wonder why when you get bottle service for a bottle you could probably buy at the liquor store for $32 and it's $150 in the club. Now I know why. They're paying for their fees.
That's one of the reasons.
Well, and then like the 300% markup or whatever.
Yeah. And the bartenders. And that's where
labor.
Yeah, the labor, right? But that's like a lot of...
I need to open up a bar.
Yeah, a lot of restaurants. I remember
Do you have $25,000?
You know what? I scrounge it up.
I had a client and he was spending so much money to open up a club, right? And I remember like him saying, he goes, restaurant, like think about all of the work they have to do to make a meal, right? A nice like meal, and then they could charge us at whatever, $20, right? For a very big, nice meal. But people will drink like 4 or 5 drinks at a party, they're partying in the club. Yeah. And that's like $20 a drink. And it's just like that, like a little bit of vodka or something. And then with Pepsi, like the guy was like, he's just making fun of people. He's like, I just put Pepsi in vodka and sell it for $20. I don't have to make a rotisserie chicken. I don't have to make a steak.
I don't need prep cooks. I don't need line cooks. I don't
have to kill a turkey. I don't have to do nothing. I just put a little vodka and a bunch of Pepsi and some ice, $20, and they buy 5 of them.
Yeah, and the drunker they get, the more they buy.
And
then they start buying rounds.
Yeah, they buy the round. Little shot of tequila, $8. Like, dude, he goes, just a little shot of tequila.
Yeah,
$8.
right. Yeah.
Whereas he goes, like what? In a movie theater, they gotta show you a whole movie.
Oh my God.
Whereas a little bit of liquor, you can get $10 for. He's like, the movie theater has to show you a whole movie for $10. I just showed that much liquor, $10.
Oh my gosh.
He's just like, I don't understand why. He's like, it's like stealing, you know. And he's like, that's why I'm opening up a club. That's why, and he was spending a lot of money for his liquor license, because he was buying it from someone else, you know.
Well, and I understand that, like, during the pandemic, since there were restaurants and bars, because people weren't going out, like, there were, like, discounted licenses.
Yes.
Because people were going out of business and nobody really wanted to open a business during the pandemic. And so the fees went down. So, like, people kind of snapped them up if they could afford them. But,
there were some of that, and there were some good changes. You know, they were easier to get, like, at a restaurant, like, or at a brewery or whatever, like beer to go. You know what I'm saying? So that was a little bit more allowed, like, whatever. What do they call it? The crawler? Do you know what I'm saying?
Crowler.
Like crowler, the big jar or whatever. And then the biggest change was cocktails to go. Like, you could get a Bloody Mary to go or something.
Yeah, they just put a sticker on the straw hole
or something. Yeah,
and they were like, "Yeah, it's to go. It was sealed." And I'm like,
"That's why you guys have to go to New Orleans." That's exactly. We have drive-through daiquiris, and they just it's just a foam cup with like a slushy type liquor. and then there's a straw, and they put a piece of tape on it and be like, it's sealed now.
Yeah, they're not drinking and driving at all.
They're not drinking and driving at all.
Yeah.
Wow.
As soon as you pull off.
Exactly. That's
That way, you lived in New Orleans?
And that I was in Louisiana, yeah.
Were you, Hurricane Katrina, were you?
No, I was already in the military.
Oh, you were
during that time.
away?
Yep.
Did you have family there at the time? Or?
Yes. But they were in northern, all my family is in northern Louisiana. But I was in Japan, and they had offered everyone to kind of like go home
Nice.
if they wanted to. But my family was okay, so I stayed.
You just stayed?
Yeah,
Okay.
my family was like, no, you don't have to come home. I was like, they giving me a free
You're like,
ticket.
are you sure?
I'm like, they giving me a free ticket, and you're being recorded. Say I need to,
Oh my God, that's awesome. They're like,
my
no,
goodness.
don't stay.
No, stay. Don't do it. I was like, no, maybe I should come home. Just,
Are
somebody.
you sure?
Right. Are you positive? Yeah. So those things was happening. Yeah.
Some of my legal stories from the Hurricane Katrina, there were all these people that they had hurricane insurance when their homes were destroyed, right? So I always like follow the legal issues there and whatnot.
But they had wind insurance or something like that?
Yeah, exactly. So they had hurricane insurance, right? So Hurricane Katrina comes, knocks out their whole life savings, right? And then when they filed claims, the insurance company's like, well, but you don't have flood insurance. Like flood insurance, like, yeah, because the hurricane broke the levee. The break caused the flood.
So it wasn't
you need
actually the
flood.
hurricane. It
Yeah,
was the
they
flood
said
that
it wasn't
caused the
the
damage.
hurricane that damaged your
that's
house.
terrible.
It was the flood that was caused by the hurricane. But you need flood insurance to be covered. So there's all these.
And then some people who did have flood
cases
insurance, they was like, but you don't have wind insurance.
Yep.
It's the wind for us.
Your house was the wind.
I'm not seeing it right now.
The other houses on your street was the flood, but your house, it was the wind. Insurance
Obviously.
companies paid.
Oh yeah, it was a
man.
huge
That's why
mess.
I have a joke about insurance. It's like,
What is it?
everything is covered except your one problem.
Yep.
That's the only
You
thing
left that
not
one out.
covered.
Yeah.
That's
You wanted to save some money, so we left that one out.
Yeah, that's the only thing not covered. Isn't that a coincidence? The only one little thing not covered.
Wild.
Your exact problem.
Wild.
You know?
Yep. All the time.
I have a question going
Yes,
back
ma'am.
to Prohibition.
Oh, yeah. Heck yeah.
So when it ended, so it was a federal law,
Oh, yeah.
right? There we go. To prohibit the manufacturing and distribution to start with. And then when it came back, the feds gave it to the states to create their own ABC rules and codes and all that sort of stuff. So why did they start it as a federal issue and then end as a state issue?
Because Kansas was the first one. I remember reading that.
What do you mean?
Kansas was the first state that like did their own.
Oh,
Because they was like dry for a long time. They never was a wet state, like even during that
Dust
time.
Bowl? Like Dust Bowl dry.
Yeah, they were like super dry. So they was the first ones that kind of went into that.
Well, they left it because it was because the feds. All right, how do I put this? Because it was they repealed the Volstead Act, right? And then the theory is then the states are allowed to police the local communities. So it kind of became considered like a policing issue. You know, like how much can someone drink, or they could drink till 2 a.m. or whatever. So it's considered a policing issue, and you know, as opposed to like the federal food and drug. You know what I'm saying? Like, because that's how, you know, and that's why, because ordinarily like
It's like a health and safety issue
Yeah.
versus like a like you're saying like FDA or something where you want to
Right.
make sure that whatever
regulated
product that they're
everywhere.
creating aren't going to kill people.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Versus, like,
yes.
The safety of the community or who those people are that live in those areas.
Right. Like the speaking of COVID, like, so the COVID vaccine or whatever, so that would be a federal issue. So they regulate that one, right? So then it applies to the whole country. And then they wanted alcohol to be policed by the local governments. You know, that was so that the federal government got out of it, because, like I said, there were riots, like people were going crazy over it.
Yeah.
So then it was left to the local community. So that's why like it just can't, like, some states were a little bit more dry. And
Well, yeah, I think that's like always the interesting conversation of like even when you're traveling, like my husband's from Philadelphia. So it's like, oh, we go to Pennsylvania and it's like, oh, we can't buy like a bottle of tequila or something at the same store that we're buying our beer and wine, or you have to buy on Sunday or not on Sunday, any day.
Sunday,
Like you have to plan for your Sunday drinking because we can't go out on Sunday.
Any of those Bible Belt states like
so
that, where it's dry on Sundays.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
She's not saying the South anymore because she doesn't want us to think she's from Tijuana. The real South.
But it's like, that interesting thing when you're like trying to like travel and you're like, and understand like, oh, that's weird. Like weird in comparison to where I live, like where we don't have stuff like that. Like I know when I've done events here in California, it's kind of like you can't have alcohol delivered on Sundays. So if you're doing an event on a Sunday, the alcohol has to be delivered earlier in the week, and then you can still, distribute or pour it or whatever, but it can't be delivered to the venue on a Sunday.
Is that here in California?
That's here in California.
Look at that. I didn't even know that. Okay.
So
goes
it's
back to
just,
those religions.
I knew a lot of these rules. I didn't
So it's just, it's kind of interesting. There's 50 states, like
everyone
has different things. And so when you go, like definitely don't have the expectation that whatever's happening in your state is happening in any other state because there are variations everywhere.
I remember when I left the country and was, living all over. And I would come back home, I would go back to Louisiana, and I remember forgetting that, like, after 12, you could buy liquor, like, in Walmart, or, like, they have it all sectioned off.
Oh, you couldn't go at, like, 8 a.m. when you're doing your normal grocery trip.
Yeah, so, like, at 12 a.m.
Go back.
At 12 a.m., like, Walmart was open, it's open 24 hours.
Oh, okay.
In Louisiana.
Yeah.
Oh, but they can't sell after midnight.
But they can't sell alcohol.
Jesus.
They have
between certain hours.
Like 12 to 6 a.m. or something like that.
Interesting.
But if you're alcoholic, you're going to get it. So if
you'll find a way.
Everything, you'll see where they have like tape and they have it like sectioned off where you can't even go down the aisle or like anything.
No kidding.
And then I remember coming when I lived in Virginia. Virginia was kind of like around the same type of kind of mindset as well. But everything with Virginia, they only sold wine and beer in like Walmart or Target when you couldn't get spirits there. And then I come to California and everything's here. So I usually, going back to that, different states doing different things. When you travel to so many different states, you're like, what is
what can we do?
Somebody need to post the law outside.
There it is.
Wow. The law. Did you, when you were like early college and stuff, did you go to Tijuana a lot? Because the drinking age there was 18. So we would go there because it was 18 and the bars were open all night and it was cheap. And
Yep.
No, I did not. My mom scared me.
Oh, so
remember I told you I was scared of my mom?
Oh, she's solid.
Wow.
She's solid.
Yeah.
Feisty little woman. She was like, if you go down there and something happens to you, don't call me.
Oh,
and I was like, okay, I'm not going to go.
Oh, your mom's awesome. How about you? Like when you were really young, well, you were in the service so what do they do in Louisiana? Is it 21 is the age? Or?
Yeah, it's 21. Yeah.
Okay, so if someone was 18, 19, there was no Tijuana to go to, like easy play. They would just drink it.
I mean, you can, like if you're in New Orleans, then of course, it's drinking on the street, like in like the French Quarters or whatever. So you have people like doing it there because you're on the street. There's no one regulating you on the street.
Really?
So it's not like in the bar where they're asking you your ID when you go into the bar.
Just drinking, the police don't
you
care.
You can have,
an open container,
and you're all out in the street. And the only thing you have to do is be like, oh, okay, I purchased my alcohol. Now I'm going out to the street. And then you're thinking you just walking out there and you can easily pass it to some underage and be like, here you go.
Yeah.
And they're walking on the street.
Well,
and no one's carding no one there. Wow.
No one's carding no one on the
crazy.
street.
Okay,
Like
I'm not
Vegas.
taking my kids.
Like
Vegas
or
is
like
another
Beale
one.
Street in Memphis. Like that's all barricaded off, like where you can actually drink.
Yeah, on the street. So no one's like asking you, like going down the street, how old are you? You got a drink in your hand. No one. Yeah, no
You're
one's
in this
asking.
area.
Yeah, unless you obviously look like you're 8.
Right.
Then
Yeah,
someone will be
children.
like, I don't think that you should be having you drinking, out here.
First, I wonder if the gas lamp will allow that sooner or later, or like open drinking. During their Super Bowl was in San Diego a while ago.
Like 98 or something. Right?
Yeah, and then again in like
I'm not even gonna tell you where I was in 98.
In 2002, and then people were drinking. They were kind of allowing open containers outside, but then I don't see it ever since then. So.
Well, I know my dad grew up outside of D.C. in Virginia, and I remember him saying when he was turned 18, like because you could drink in D.C., but you couldn't, like the 21 was in Virginia, so they would go,
To
like
DC.
people would go into DC and stuff. So that was an interesting thing, for him. He was like, yeah, like that's what we could do, because some different areas or regions or states could like kind of dictate that, but then that ended up becoming like across the board 21.
That's how I met my wife. Okay, so
Drinking when you were 18?
Listen. Okay, hear me out.
Is
So
this your drinking story?
Well, you can call. Okay, so in Detroit, right? I have cousins in Detroit, so I was visiting them, and in Detroit it's 21, and in Canada it's 19, right? So a lot of people in Detroit, they would go to Windsor, Canada. It's right across the water, right, across the border. So they would go to Windsor. And so my cousin, she was, let's say, 20 or something. So she and her buddies were in that college age. I was like only a couple years older. So I went with them to Windsor. And so I met the wife there, 'cause she lived in Detroit, but we met in Windsor. And because, so this was over 22 years ago. But so it was, oh my God, I never
That's your
made the
drinking
connection.
story. Thank you for sharing your drinking story.
Because all the Detroiters were going to Windsor, Canada to drink. Yeah, so we met there.
All the San Diegans going to Tijuana.
This is
It makes
August
sense.
Except for
of
Paige.
the year
Except for Paige.
August of 2000. So August to the 22? About 22 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah. Wow. That was a long time. Okay, I need a drink now. What's up?
Well, thank
I
you.
never put that connection together.
Well, now you did.
No, I did.
You're welcome.
I was going to say
Put that
happy to
connection-
help.
Right.
Thank you.
We're glad that we could help you. So we're going to end this episode. Thank you so much, first of all, Joe,
Thank you.
for coming on and talking some law with us.
Oh, there it is.
Talking these like Prohibition and ABC and giving us some clarity. We definitely have to have you back on because we want to deep dive a little bit into the alcohol beverage control and why they're controlling everything. And with that, I want everyone to follow us. If you have not subscribed to all of our things, please follow our IG because we don't have our IG up. No, we do have our IG.
I was
we
like,
just have
we
never
have
said
Instagram.
it. Yeah,
We
we
do
just never
have
have
it.
said it. It's Odd Pairing Pod.
That's it.
Yeah, please. We're trying to get some. We have some fun things on there, so please follow us on there. Also, you guys can follow Joe because he has his podcast, Run It By My Lawyer. And you guys can follow him on YouTube because he does have visual like we do. Spotify and iTunes. And his IG is at Joseph Samo. Samo.
Thank you.
Yeah, to get some snippets of his podcast as well. And thank you.
I was
once
going to say
again.
any final words.
I am just happy to be here. Thank you, folks. Cheers
no
one more time for
problem.
good luck.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah,
you.
it's my pleasure. This is so much fun, and I know whoever's listening is having the best time. So anything, you two are all right. I love it. All right, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for listening and watching Odd Pairing. So please subscribe, like, rate,
And comment with your favorite drinking stories and curiosities about adult beverages.
Yeah.
Cheers.
I'm going to happy hour. Who's driving?
I'm going to walk.